What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Plure in the building. Today we're going to be cooking up some Project X type XAVIER WULF type beats. We'll be showing y'all my process of how I go through, lay my drums down, mix everything, how I use sound effects to my advantage and involve them in my productions, kind of my process for flipping samples and making counter melodies out of them, adding keys over top of them. Before we get started chopping up some samples, I just want to thank y'all for sticking with me since the beginning, supporting the channel. This is my first tutorial, so I'm trying to diversify my content a little bit. If you guys enjoy this type of content, you want to see more, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Also, if you have the time, comment, let me know some ideas of some type beats you guys would like to see me cook up. I'm trying to be more diversified as far as doing live cook-ups, stuff like that. Also, if y'all are in the market for some new sounds, head over to my BeatStars and check out my Wolf V1 and my V2 drum kit. They're some of the best underground sounds in the market. Either one of the kits is a pretty much buy one get one all type of thing. Guarantee you there's something in either one of those kits you're going to be able to apply to each one of your productions. Appreciate your guys' time. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start finding some samples to chop up. So when I'm going for these older underground type beats, I usually start by finding some samples that I'd like to flip. Sometimes I like to make my own loops, my own melodies. Sometimes I like to use someone else's loops to collab with them. Sometimes I like chopping samples up. Really just personal preference, but for this specific application of the tutorial, we're going to chop up some samples. If you guys are ever having issues trying to find samples and you guys don't want to invest in my drum kit, send me a DM on Instagram. I'll send you guys some crazy playlists on YouTube that got some insane samples, and there's got to be at least one sample in there somewhere that you can flip and cook up. So I got me a sample loaded up here in FL. I'm going to go ahead and right click on this waveform, open up Edison, and I'm going to start finding some areas that I'm going to use to flip the sample. First thing I'm going to do is click this little symbol up here. It's going to allow me to loop playback a specific selection, and I'm just going to go through this entire sample, find 3-4 different areas that sound good to my ear, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start flipping them. So I got 3 different chops from that specific sample. What I'm gonna do is drag them all to track 1 in the mixer, and then I'm gonna stretch all of these out and then do stretch pro on the mode. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start chopping them up, see what I can come up with. So I got this laid out super simple. I'm not going to do no chops of this sample just because it's not the right one to do chops with. However, I kind of got it laid out pretty simple here. I got the little intro part coming in to the 2 bars, and then I'm going to have this come down, have the drop on the 8 bars. Before I get into that, I'm going to start laying some keys down on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the key of the sample using this plugin called Serato Sample, which is not just a plugin you can use to find the key of the sample, but you can also do some crazy shit with this plugin. So make sure you guys check this out if you don't have it. Super fire plugin. You can do chops, you can do time stretching, key shift. When it comes to sampling, you really don't need any other plugin besides this one. I'll go ahead and drag something simple in like an FL keys. Make sure it's on grand piano. I'm headed the piano roll, and I'm going to open up my scale highlight, make sure we're on E minor, and I'm just going to lay some bass keys down on this. Then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate these notes up an octave. I'm going to go ahead and cut these notes here, and I'm going to drag it to the 7th key. It's going to be B minor. This is what it sounds like from the beginning. Go ahead and layer them bass notes with a plugin called Sakara. It's a stock FL Studio plugin, and you can get all kinds of presets for it. But just to keep it simple in this video, we're going to go ahead and use some of the stock presets they got in here and just try to find something super dark sounding. I'm just going to go ahead and pitch it up an octave from what we had on the keys. about 4 sounds I'm really gonna need for this entire track. Basically on my first main sound, all I got going on is a little EQ, taking out that low end frequency. I'll go ahead and add a plugin called Vinyl on there as well. Change the preset to 1960 and turn the scratch and warp options all the way down. Now it's gonna sound like this. Now I'm also going to do the same thing to that counter to melody that I made out of the original sample. I'm also going to add a looperman a shaper box 2 on there, and I'm going to use the Cool Beat 2 preset, which sounds like this. There's also Cool Beat 2, which sounds fire sometimes. Or keep it on 2, and then later in the beat we might switch it to the preset Cool Beat 1 and kind of switch it up a little bit. On the keys, basically I just got a reverb on there, turned it down, and I got an EQ taking out the low end and the super high end, that way it don't clash when any of the bass frequencies we're going to be added in. And on that Sakara preset, I'm just going to take out a little bit of the low end as well. Add a preset called Air Flavor Pro onto the main melody, and I'm going to use the preset Akai ST1. Looking for some new presets, man, check this one out. Air Flavor Pro, I use it on almost every single beat, and this shit is just like a beefed up version of RC20. It's fire. There's a lot of really cool presets in here. You can add presets as well. It's just a super fire plugin, and everything is customizable, so you can really just do whatever you want with the plugin. I'm also going to add the same plugin with the same preset on the Sakara, and I'm going to up the width to 128%. Also going to add some reverb, turn the wetness up a little bit, but then turn the overall mix down. So I got this other part of the sample that I chopped earlier. I'm just going to kind of leave it down there in the corner for now, mute it. I might use that in the future to break the beat up a little bit, but so far, this is what we got. Now that I'm ready to add my drums, I'm going to go ahead and open up the mixer, and I'm going to drag my preset from my Wolf kit onto the master track. If y'all are having trouble finding some hard hitting sounds, you haven't already checked my kit out, here's another reason too. This master preset is phenomenal. Simple couple plugins that are involved with it, and it just ups the mix every time. It's really going to make your drums hit hard. On top of that, we're going to go ahead and add a plugin called Ozone Master 11 Rebalance. You don't even have to be an engineer. If you're a producer, these Ozone plugins are phenomenal. They got a lot of really cool plugins on there. But we're going to use Ozone 11. We're going to use the crispy drums on the master. That'll basically make our drums just hit harder than a motherfucker. So now I'm just going to go through, get a simple drum pattern laid down on this sample, and go from there. I'll go ahead and lower the tempo down. I'm going to do like 117. Kind of give it a good mixture. Drag a crash in here on the intro. basic 4 sounds in there, my 808, my kick, my snare, and my hi-hat. I'm gonna play it for you, and I'm gonna go in and start doing adjustments to the hi-hat pattern, switching it up a little bit. This melody is pretty dark, so I'll probably keep it simple. Don't need to have a lot of crazy variations in the hi-hats. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to layer that hi-hat with another hi-hat. Something that's super simple, but it really widens the frequency range, and it really just keeps the ear listening. You can do this with snares, kicks, whatever. As long as it sounds good, run with it. Pattern on there. I'm gonna go ahead and copy and paste that to another hi-hat. I'm gonna mute everything around, just keep the hi-hats on there. This is how it sounds without the layer. I'm gonna go ahead and add the layer on there. Very subtle change, but to someone that knows what they're listening for, it makes a huge difference. Now that I got my basic sounds on there and they're kind of flowing, I'm gonna go ahead and start dragging my perks in there. Something like this, real slow beat. It's got a lot of movement in the melody. It's real dark already. Really don't need to overdo the perks too much. Kind of keep it simple and repetitive. The artist is going to be the main instrument on a track like this. Just keep it simple, low key. We're using a lot of perks like that, and you want to have a lot of variation. You want some of them in the background, not in the foreground of the track. On there laid out. I don't got nothing mixed yet. We ain't that far. So I got all my sounds in there and laid out. I'm gonna go through while they're all in one mixer track in the same spot. Mix all of them. Got some reverb on this hi-hat. Change the decay. Turn the damp down a little bit. Widened up. I'm gonna turn the overall mix on it down a little bit. I'm gonna do the same thing for this next pattern, so I can just file, save as, hold it down, drag it onto that hi-hat as well. So I got my snare. I don't do anything to the snare but level it, but I also ended up layering the snare with an additional drag it down a little bit. Next I got my kick. The kick, all I'm going to do is come down to this equalizer, pull this frequency up a little bit right around 170 hertz, pull the super low frequency up around 90, and drag the volume down. It's gonna make it hit real hard. I'm gonna add a reverb to the snare as well. Use pretty much the same settings, identical to the hi-hats. Give it a little bit of vibrance in the mix. Sounds, these 3 perks right here run hand in hand with each other, so they're pretty much running on a set pattern. If I play it, you'll basically hear what I'm saying. One goes, the other goes, and the last one goes. You kind of got to keep the volume and the mix the same for all of these perks. See what I'm saying? They kind of bounce off of each other. So this repeating perk I got here, I don't know if I'm going to use this, just kind of threw it in there to switch it up, probably for the second switch up to the beat. I'm going to drag a shaper box on there, and I'm going to add a pan, use this preset here, and I'm also going to add a width, and use the same preset, sound like this. That's how everything sounds together. So So I got all my drums mixed. Now pretty much I'm gonna go ahead and come out to pattern 1 with all my drums in it, split by channel, and I'm gonna go ahead and start laying this beat out. So I kind of have a signature way of how I do my beats. I like to add a little bit of an intro to the beat depending on what I'm working with, but these types of beats I like to add a little intro. Some of them a little longer, shorter, whatever I'm feeling in the time being. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. So the super simple way that I do my intros, there's not many sounds on this particular beat, and none of them are mixed yet, so they do sound a little weird. However, this is what it's sounding like now. Pretty simple. I'm gonna drag this effect here actually. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull a drum loop in here to play throughout the whole beat pretty much. Try to find something. Just gonna go ahead and drag this in. Make sure it's time stretched correctly. I'm gonna drag this to the mixture preset. I'm gonna go in here and I'm going to add parametric EQ2 and do a radio effect on it. I'm also gonna add some reverb, stock settings, pull it down, and pull the volume down. Kind of give you essentially another instrument to work with the melody. I mean, I could take it out here, I could take it out here, and it makes enough of an impact on the way the beat sounds that you can actually hear it, but it'll still sound the same. As far as the levels of the melody sound, it'll sound the same, but when you take it out, obviously you'll be able to know that it's taken out. So like you'll be able to switch it up a little bit. You get what I'm saying? So now that we got that laid out, we're gonna go ahead and drag our drums in. We're gonna take most of these out. Kind of leave it pretty bare coming in. For a beat like this, I'm going to kind of keep it real open for the artist. Just kind of not have too many switch ups, just kind of have one switch up throughout the beat. Have it keep playing over and over again, that way they can just hop on the beat, hammer that shit out real quick. Coming into the second pattern, and then I'm gonna switch this 808 up towards the end. I'm also gonna change the kick coming into this part here, and I'll take the main sample out. There's also the point in time where I'm going to bring my other perks in. Take this Happy New Year one out. I have one more set of bars coming in here. But I'm going to just have the counter melody play over top. And then I'm going to pretty much make this pretty raw here. I'm going to add the kick back in. And then I'm going to take out a couple of these perks, something like that. So I was telling y'all before how I'm going to use that shaper box and switch it up. Exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and create an automation clip. Drag this down here. I'm going to want this automation clip activated all the way through until the second part of the drop, or the second switch up. I'm going to deactivate it there, but I'm going to have it reactivate after that once duplicate the beat back over. Come in here, then I'm going to do cool beat 1, switch it up a little bit, and then obviously make another automation clip. have it deactivate all the way into the part that I want that shit to start hitting. This is what that sounds like. You'll be able to hear it switch up in the melody. It's the same melody, but it's just switching up how that shaper box is being used. There. So now I'm gonna do literally duplicate this all the way over. Like essentially I'm gonna keep everything here the same, but I'm gonna do a couple switch ups here and there. And for that last part of the beat, I'm actually gonna drag a halftime on the master track. So it's gonna make everything sound super crazy. Again, another automation clip. And there's pretty much it. I'm just gonna go ahead and use these intro effects in the same type of way that I used them in the intro for the outro. So this is how the second part of the switch up sounds. Last thing I'm going to do is go ahead and mix my effects. Start from the beginning. That's how I flip my samples, cook up these underground XAVIER WULF type beats. If y'all enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, let me know. I do plan on making more content like this. If you guys didn't enjoy it, let me know what you did enjoy about it. If you did enjoy it, let me know what you enjoyed about it. Take the negative, make the positive. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Wolf V3 is in. I'm gonna play the beat, get up out here. Later.